Blog Talk Radio.
Franchise pros, Stan the Man, Paul Segreto. Time to show you the way of franchising today. Hey, do you possess the spirit of an entrepreneur? Wanna lay your business plan down like a rug or a floor? Or maybe you have a dream of opening a chain of delis, or whatever passion lights that pilot light under your belly. Or do you want to start a business, fam, using the proven trademark from another brand? And grow together and expand like a rage of fire, from a single to a multi-unit empire. Well, pay attention to this podcast that you hear is streaming in HD, so fine-tune both of your ears. And Stan and Paul lays down the law. Whether you want to be a franchisee or a franchisor, it's all about sustainable growth, the sensible franchising, proven concepts, the smart enterprising. So use your left and right side of your brain and absorb this knowledge here. Franchising today, Badlands, baby. Franchising today, sustainable growth, the sensible franchising. Franchise today, sustainable growth, the sensible franchising. Franchise today, franchising today, franchising today. Yeah.
Hello, everyone in the franchise world. My name is Paul Segreto, and this is Franchise Today. That's Badlands. God, Stan, I love our jingle. I think I'm going to have a hard time looking at a new one. I love it. I just cannot believe how much he just encompassed everything we do in such a short period of time. And, of course, I'm talking to my co-host, Stan Friedman from Atlanta.
I can't get over how every single week it's like you're hearing that for the very first time. You're loving it so much every week. It's like you
really
haven't heard it before. Well, I'm going to have to share that with Badlands, and I know it'll make him smile. We ought to get him on with us sometime just for grins. What do you think?
I think that would be great. I love I would love to hear his perspective as to what he was thinking when he was doing that. Because, like I said, he encompassed it. I know you only gave him a short little bit of information, and he turned that into something as if he had been in the industry for a while.
All right, I'm going to give Eric Badlands Booker a call, and maybe we'll get him on here in a week or two, and just because you're such a groupie and he's such a guy who loves people who love him, we're going to get him to say hi to us, and maybe he'll do another little ditty for us live. Who knows?
I'm sure it'd be great listening to him just spin that out. I think it'd be great.
Hey, Paul, I want to open today with I think it's appropriate to open up today's podcast where we're going to be talking about kids and children and education. I just came back from 2.5 days of hanging out in Atlanta with 17 or 18,000 high school seniors as DECA hosted their ICDC, their International Career Development Conference here in Atlanta this week. And I got the opportunity once again to perform the role of a mentor on Sunday with their graduating high school class of about 700 kids. And then to be a participating judge on Monday in the entrepreneurship franchising competitions, which is just an amazing, amazing event where these kids that are, of the 17 or 18,000 that are here, not all of them are focused on entrepreneurship or franchising. There are several different verticals that DECA covers: food service, hospitality, merchandising, marketing, fashion. But there are several hundred kids that are competing in a franchise business plan concept whereby they have to write a 30-page business plan with financials and write up on a franchise brand that they would be standing up in front of a judge and presenting their pro forma to, defending their plan, and making a 15-minute presentation on why the judge, acting in the role of banker, should loan them the money to start this franchise. What a great experience, Paul. You know, it's one of these things that's right with America, and we don't get to see enough of that on the news at night, so I love to share out and report on it here. These kids are amazing. They come in khakis and blue blazers and Oxford button-down collars and ties, and they take this business of franchising seriously and this competition seriously. The winner of the event, which took place last night, don't have the name yet, but the winner of this year's competition will be named at the next IFA convention as the next Don DeBolt Scholarship winner, which is a $10,000 scholarship. So it's serious business for those kids, and I'm happy and proud to tell you that some of our franchise brethren and sisterhood here in Atlanta participated in this judging with me. Was Barry Falcon of iFranchise Group, Mary Heitman, president of IFA's Franchise Education and Research Foundation, Cassidy Ford from FRM Solutions, Christina Chambers, VP of Franchising for Huddle House, a former DECA student, one that I mentored 10, 12 years ago, is now part of the global franchise group family, Sean Goldsmith. Speaking of GFG, Great American Cookies' own Doc Cohn was here judging with us, and of course yours truly. So it was quite an event. I think there's no more appropriate a week for us to have a bit of our time spent talking about kids, as we'll be doing with our guest for the rest of the hour today, Paul. One other thing that I just wanted to bring forward that's near and dear to my heart is some information that I saw published this week in IFA's Smart Brief, reprinted from Black Enterprise Magazine, where according to PricewaterhouseCoopers, they teamed up again with the IFA this year and the Educational Foundation to produce some statistics on based on the U.S. Census Bureau's 2012 survey of business owners, and it takes a look at minorities and women in franchising over the course of the last census. And some eye-popping statistics were revealed in that 30.8% of franchise businesses in 2012 were owned by minorities, up from 20.5% in 2007. In contrast, only 18.8% of businesses not franchised were owned by minorities in 2012. And so this is it's a big uptick. And when you break things down by race, firms run by blacks had the biggest gain in the percentage of businesses operated as a franchise within the minority, ethnic, and gender groups. Those black-owned firms grew to 4.8% in 2012, up roughly 66% from 2.9% in 2007. Our own IFA CEO Robert Crescente said the franchise business model has solidified its place in our economy as a stable job producer and an opportunity engine, and is uniquely situated to effect serious change in local communities by encouraging employment for those who need it. This report demonstrates how the franchise business model is working to meet the future challenges of a rapidly growing and diversifying franchise sector, with shifting demographics instituting a way of living that achieves a dream for millions of Americans. And Paul, the numbers were equally as strong with the number of the percentage spike in terms of women getting into franchising as well. They found that a third, 30.6% of franchise businesses are owned by women, increasing from 50% in 5 years. So minorities and women alike are represented in a very strong fashion in the growth of the American dream, and these numbers are based on the 2007 to 12 census, so we've all got to believe that in the 6 years since, those numbers have grown even further. Pretty inspiring stuff, Paul.
Very inspiring, and I'm sure we're going to continue to see some of those trends at the upcoming International Franchise Expo in New York City, where we'll get an opportunity to actually see each other. And I almost had a little bit of a heart palpitation the other day, Stan, because I saw that our beloved Katz's Delicatessen in New York City, the iconic brand, had a fire, but it was only a minor fire, and they were only closed down for a short period of time. So I look forward to sharing corned beef and pastrami with you in New York City, along with some of the other great times that we'll have together in New York. So definitely made my heart skip. Couldn't imagine that iconic brand leaving, considering that Carnegie Deli is no longer with us. So
Yeah.
over to a lighter note. Want to just, tell everybody safe travels to the Restaurant Finance Conference next week in Las Vegas. And, of course, coming up, we have the Legal Symposium, and kind of just slow down a little bit. And then, of course, hit the IFE in New York, which I'm looking forward to. A great event, especially the way MFE Expos and the IFA pair up together to produce such great events. So turning to today's show, it's entitled "A Bright Light Shines in Childhood Education." The quote that I found is, "I think our parents wanted, and we continue as well to want, to reach as many children as we possibly can with our program and enrich their lives." It's such a great feeling when you have a parent that is literally in tears coming up to you and talking about how much their child has learned over the years and how they're ahead of their peers going into school, and that really gives them an edge. And, of course, that's from Michael Brown, the president of Children's Lighthouse Learning Centers. Michael, welcome to Franchise Today.
Well, thank you very much.
We've had, well over 300 guests over the years, in the 9 years that Franchise Today has been on the air. And I'm always extremely interested when there's a family component to a business, from a startup, changing, transitioning through generations. It's kind of a passion to me. I've written articles on stuff like What Would Pop Do? Talking about family succession plans. And I know your family, your father and your uncle, I believe, founded Children's Lighthouse. But before we jump into, what the brand is about, why don't you take us back to a point in time, wherever you want to go back in time, because as we often say on the show, we never wake up one day in our life and say, I think I'll go into franchising. And sometimes it's a very interesting path and journey that we take, and yours is probably a little bit more interesting because you started working in the business at a very young age and, of course, have taken over the reins. So take us back to that point in time and move us forward to where you are today, and then we'll talk about the brand from a consumer perspective.
Absolutely. So my father and uncle, Mike and Pat Brown, founded Children's Lighthouse in 1997, and they had heard that there was a need for educationally focused, quality childcare. And so they started doing quite a bit of research into the industry. They were very intrigued because we have a very close family. They have a strong passion for children and education, and it sounded like something that they would really excel at. They researched for a good 2 years on what was in the industry, what new trends were happening, and really were able to gain some innovative ideas to create the blueprint for Children's Lighthouse. I, at the time, was in high school. I've got two younger brothers as well, and it truly was a family business. We have my dad and my uncle were running the business. My mom and my grandmother helped out quite a bit with design and setting up our schools. And me and my two brothers were involved doing whatever was needed, anything from watering trees to basic building repair maintenance type things to handing out a lot of flyers when we were young. So it was a great experience and something that I feel had a huge impact on me, and I'm sure my brothers as well, growing up with that type of environment. We, I think one of the main things that they saw, they had the passion, and they saw a great opportunity with the changing in workforce habits. They noticed that the young children population was increasing. In fact, I think the under 5 population is projected to grow from 2000 2000 all the way to 2050, it's going to grow about 50% or over 50%. And they noticed that many families now had 2 working parents, which I think it's about 65% of mothers with children ages 6 and under are currently in the workforce. So they saw those trends and noticed a need for what they were coming up with. I was heavily involved in the company starting out, went to the University of Texas and obtained a degree in finance. Very early on, my dad and uncle would have loved for me and my brothers to work at Children's Lighthouse, but they also said they want us to do what is right for us and what we're interested in. So I didn't have the mindset of coming straight to Children's Lighthouse. I had heard all the horror stories of family businesses and didn't know if that was the right angle for me. But I decided to give it a try. I knew just from being around family and the team that they had in place, it was a great experience and a very exciting time. So my last 2 summers in college, I came back to Fort Worth and worked at our schools and at our company headquarters, basically doing anything and everything. My main focus, however, was with our now Vice President of Operations, Donna Prince, in going to each one of our schools and locations to provide quality assurance type, checking procedures and policies were being followed correctly, and providing training and assistance to the teams there on getting our operations run as well as possible. A funny story is the very first day I came to work, Donna had given me kind of a strange look as I was walking into one of our schools, and we walked to the back office, and she pulled me aside and she said, I know you're coming right back from college, but we have a policy of no open-toed shoes, and I know you're wearing shorts, and I think it would be best to have a more professional look. We're representing the company, and we want to do that in a professional manner, which I completely understood. I said, it was completely my fault. I understand, and from then on, I came to work dressed in a very professional manner from then on. So it was, great working under her and learning how the schools operated. Everything from classroom management to the actual front office management to our computer softwares. I became, once I graduated from college, I came back and at that time was fully committed to working with our team and helping the business grow. And so I continued to do more operational work at the school level, but also starting to do some more accounting and finance type work, which was more of my background, and really progressed in almost every aspect of the business. We started with company locations, started from that one in 1997 all the way to 9 locations. But partway through, we had a location in Houston, Texas, and some individuals had seen the location and toured it and were very impressed and called up one day and said they wanted to open a franchise. And at that time, there was no, infrastructure set up for franchising. There had been some consideration in franchising, but it was very early stages. And so they let that individual know that, in the future they are possibly franchising and will reach out to them. But that individual was very, very insistent on they had to open and operate a Children's Lighthouse. So after a lot of convincing, we scrambled together, got the franchise agreement set up, and put some infrastructure in place to operate and to start the franchise company. So that's kind of how.
So we'll talk a little bit about the franchise model here in a bit. It's interesting that how this has evolved, and of course, being in the Houston market myself, when Bailey from All Points PR recommended that we speak to you today, I kept thinking, Children's Lighthouse. Where have I seen that? And ironically, it's in the same parking lot as my mom's senior home where she's living. And, pass by it every day because I don't have, children of the age that would go to your facility. But in researching this, I've seen some different things online, and I guess originally it was, promoted as a daycare model, but it really is much more than a daycare model from what I continue to read. Give us some insight from a consumer standpoint of what, Children's Lighthouse brings to the table for their children.
Yeah, doing their research before they opened the first location, they noticed that parents didn't want most parents did not want traditional daycare in the sense that it was, but wanted something more educationally focused and something that had a strong quality program aspect of it. So when they were designing the blueprint for Children's Lighthouse, they incorporated a very strong curriculum, a culture of the highest quality, as well as several different innovations in the industry that were either not currently in the industry or were just beginning to be seen in the industry. Some of those were our parent video system, where parents can log in at work and see their children having fun, playing, and having that peace of mind that their child is safe and having fun while they're learning at school. We also, have a very strong emphasis on safety. We implemented from the very first location a magnetic locking system on our doors, so that the only way somebody could get in is if the parent had a key code to type in and get in the building. And then from the franchising side, we knew that it was going to be very important for us as well as the franchise owners to dive into their numbers a little bit more and benchmark themselves. And so we created an intranet from the very first franchise that would track several different key performance indicators and allow us to follow up and make sure that they're on track, as well as give those owners the ability to compare their information against other centers and notice if they had some areas where they needed some improvement. We were able to talk to them through it or go provide some different type of trainings in whatever that field was that they needed some assistance with.
We're going to come back on the franchise side of the business in a few minutes. But first, Mike, let's talk more about the consumer side. What is one of the driving forces that brings a mom to you guys? What is if a parent were sharing why with a friend their kids should come here, what would we hear in that conversation?
Well, so I believe our biggest differentiator is our program, not just our educational curriculum, which has a strong focus on education, but not just intellectual education, but also emotional and character value education. So we have designed a proprietary curriculum over the last few years with some input of highly knowledgeable and some really smart people to match children's learning abilities and styles of learning with the different children and where they're at. So our curriculum is I feel like more engaging and adaptive than most of the curriculums that we've seen in the industry. There has been a ton of new research over the last few years in ways that children learn and how best to provide certain teaching techniques for those children to learn in a way that works for them. So we have designed that curriculum with that in mind, in helping each different type of child type of learning to get that learning based upon those needs, as well as being adaptive. We want to adapt to the certain child, as well as the communities and what parents are looking for. We have a lot of the new technology that has been coming out of the last few years, which we noticed right off the bat would be extremely helpful for parent communication. There are many third-party vendors that work with iPad or tablet to get communication from parents on how their children are doing during the day. Everything from when the younger ones go to the bathroom to what they're eating, as well as what they're learning, and it allows you to take pictures and send a funny picture or an excited child as they are drawing or writing their name, maybe even for the first time. So parents have loved this application, and now many of the things that not only did we open the doors with, but a lot of the new technologies and processes that we've put in place are now industry standards. So being on the forefront and constantly innovating has helped us keep that edge and allow parents to get more value out of our program. And again, going back to the emotional and character value aspect of our curriculum, I think that is something that is so important in today's world. As you had mentioned earlier, it's such an amazing feeling when you hear from parents and they tell you about how their child read a book to them for the first time, and there's so much pride and happiness in the parent, and the child is so engaged and interested in going back the next day and learning more. And it's those type of things that really hits home. But then also the stories that you hear when parents tell you how emotionally intelligent their children are, how much they've learned in interacting with friends and making friends and being respectful to their teachers and just basic core values that I feel have started to get overlooked in today's society. So, we want a completely well-rounded curriculum that will, cater and help children develop their intellectual brains as well as their bodies and their best behaviors. So, having that curriculum and program that we have designed has really been a differentiator.
Before we go into our half break, I just wanted to piggyback on that as you continue to bring up the emotional aspect. What are the age ranges of the kids that are enrolled in the program, and what is the interaction between those age ranges? I would wonder whether or not some of those emotional learnings may come from kids looking up to some that are maybe a little older than they are. Tell us a little about how that looks. Sure.
So Children's Lighthouse caters to children ages from as young as 6 weeks all the way to an after-school program of children 6 years to 12 years old. The majority of our classrooms are broken out by age. They are infants, toddlers, 2s, 3s, 4s, as well as the after-school program that has children that does have different age ranges. But the design on having a curriculum and a lesson plan focused on where that child is intellectually and emotionally allows those children to get move up to the next level and have an age-appropriate learning environment. So many times you see some great content, great curriculums, but if it's not age-appropriate or engaging, the children won't learn or retain that information. So there definitely is interaction. We have, especially for the younger children, we have certain systems in place to help integrate them into going from the youngest infant room to all the way up. And in our infant rooms especially, we have a it's a half wall so that the younger children can listen to the older children and the teacher in the older children's room. So when they get older and go to that next room, they already have a comfort level with that room and what goes on in that room, and they know their new teacher's voice. So there's also a focus on outside play and the playground. We have a very a large and focused playground where children can kind of refresh, take a break, and just be children. They need some time to just have fun and be children. So that's another focus of our program is having that well-rounded focus.
You're listening to Franchise Today, now in its 9th season of podcasting. I'm Stan Friedman, along with co-host Paul Segreto, talking today with Michael Brown, president of Children's Lighthouse. Franchise Today is brought to you by the Franchise Foundry, where Paul and his team have been bringing emerging brands to market for more than 30 years. The Franchise Foundry fosters sustainable growth for their clients, the kind that comes from experience. The Franchise Foundry provides both coaching and consulting, a hybrid approach delivering more effective solutions for both the franchisor's corporate team as well as for their franchisees. The Franchise Foundry team is rich in practical hands-on experience and expertise with general business management, operational and change management, digital marketing, and, of course, franchise recruitment and development. Plus, the Foundry team can also assist with creating roadmaps for potential mergers and acquisitions and provide you with all the guidance needed to navigate them. Learn more about Paul Segreto and the Franchise Foundry, along with their expanding list of clients, at www.franchisefoundry.com. Franchise Today is also brought to you by FRM Solutions, offering best-in-class CRM and document management software designed specifically for franchising. FRM empowers real-time business intelligence, communication, and collaboration between all members of the franchisor's team and prospective as well as existing franchisees. This enables you to simply and seamlessly track, access, and manage all messages to and from prospects and existing franchisees, including texts. Legal and compliance is simplified too, with FRM's document management, and even site visits can be digitally facilitated and scored using FRM. Make today the day you give FRM a look and assure that all of your candidate and franchisee correspondence, including texts, are being permanently tracked and stored in candidate and franchisee records. FRM even provides state-of-the-art digital experiences for your prospective franchisees, replacing old-style virtual brochures. No long-term contracts, multiple upgrades each year at no additional cost. No excuses, just solutions on the web at frmsolutions.com.
Michael, thanks for taking us on the journey to where we are today, where you are today, as well as the consumer perspective for your brand. Shifting gears to the franchise side, tell us what the day in the life of a Children's Lighthouse franchisee looks like on a daily basis. What does the day in the life look like?
Well, it starts with finding the right franchise owner. That is extremely important to us as this industry carries a lot of responsibility. Many of these locations have over 200 children that they have in their care, and it can be stressful and very intensive. So we want the right person to lead that team. Looking for franchise owners, we want somebody with some business experience, somebody that has that skill set of having a managerial personality and can manage their team, but not necessarily micromanage. As long as they can set the goals and the expectations and allow their team to follow that out, is where we've really seen the most success with our franchise owners. Many of the franchise owners do not have industry experience. One of the things I think my dad and uncle said many times is starting out, they got really lucky, to be frank. They had business experience, and they had experience in real estate and construction, which really helped out on finding a location and that getting the pre-opening stage. But they didn't realize how difficult and heavily regulated and how much responsibility childcare and education is. And so they were extremely lucky in finding some highly talented and very experienced people to lead that operations team, which for a franchise owner is completely different, because they have the franchise model to rely on, and they have our experienced staff to help them. I'm confident in saying that I feel like we have the best and most highly skilled staff in the industry. Our team has over 150 years of industry experience combined. So if there's a challenge or if there's something that comes up, it's a very rare occurrence where they have not seen something like that happen, and can give feedback or advice on how to respond to that. So we're not necessarily looking for industry experience in a franchise owner, but it's more of a business type of mindset. And once that group or individual is heavily vetted, we go through a strong process of learning about them and also providing them information so that they can look at our concept and process and make sure it's the right fit for them. And if we feel that they're a great fit for us and we're a good fit for them, we'll start working with them on getting their Children's Lighthouse open. So that I think that's where you have to start is having the right person for the job of leading that location, and then kind of like I said, their main goal is going to be to set goals and expectations for their management team, and letting them run away with it. Most of their time will be spent either going over their finances and accounting, helping with marketing, being the face of the franchise, getting out into their community. Childcare is very community driven and oriented, so it's very important to be heavily involved with the community. Most of our owners have young children themselves, and in fact, a lot of them have told us that's how they got into childcare and even found us just by either having a child at one of our existing locations or seeing a need in their area for a quality childcare school, and so that those owners have the passion and the experience with young children, and that I think is the other key component, along with their their business skill sets, but just having that passion for children and education, and wanting their school to have the best program and provide the best experience to their children that they're taking care of. So that's going to be their main focus. The head of the team driving the culture.
Michael, there's many of our listeners that listen to Franchise Today, hear about franchise brands that I guess would be a little bit more typical. And what I mean in that is the candidates work through the process, and then they're awarded the franchise. They go through training, and many times they're open in 90 to 120 days because it's typically, maybe a retail center, and there's just build out on 1,200 square feet. And obviously, with Children's Lighthouse, this is a pretty good-sized facility. So what happens between the time that the franchisee signs their franchise agreement to the time they actually open? I would imagine it would have to be a significant amount of time that transpires in between. So what is the franchisee's role during that time period?
It is, and that is the most intensive part, I would say, is finding a location, getting financed, and then getting open. Ours is quite a bit different. Going instead of going into a leased location, but we do everything ground up. Have to find the right location for our the schools and the communities that they're looking into, and we have really refined that process over the last 15 years. It started out as not really a franchise company, and so there was no focus on franchising, and it was just a very slow and steady growth, having 2 or 3 franchises awarded each year to getting a little bit more interest, and then the decision was made probably in 2010 to focus on franchising and hire a team that would manage the awarding process as well as the pre-opening process. I actually moved over to the franchise side of the company around that time, and have been part of each different role. It can take quite a while. It depending on certain factors. You definitely want to find a great location. That's going to be extremely key, along with the providing the best operational experience. You've got to have a great location. So we have an intensive site selection process where that will be the starting point for the franchise owner right after awarding. In the old days, we used to have just a huge binder that had a ton of information that was needed to be gathered to decide on what locations were the best and if it was a feasible location. Now that binder is an electronic. We use a third-party vendor that handles that process for us, and it keeps everything organized and on time so that the owners can evaluate all the different demographic information and competition analysis and all the other type of information that is needed to look at for this industry to find a solid location. I, having a background in finance, was familiar with business plans and projections. So as I transitioned over, I mainly focused on helping our franchise owners obtain financing, which is another very key aspect of what we do. I feel like we starting off in franchising, we wanted to provide the best experience and help our owners as much as we possibly could, and I feel like we're at the top of our industry in providing that support. So we will help them tailor their specific situation to a business plan and projection analysis for their lenders to evaluate. We have several great relationships with lenders that have been with us for a long time and have been able to provide great assistance to the franchise owners. And then we also bring in operations very early on in the process now, so that the owners are aware of what will need to be done at the time of opening and even before opening. There's a detailed timeline of certain items that need to be done and focused on, as well as preparing for the next step in the process. So it has become a lot more systematic than it was in the past when we were a much smaller company and had maybe a staff of 4 where one person kind of did it all. They answered the phone and talked to potential franchise owners, as well as set them up with a bank and then would kind of help them get open. But now we have a staff of 15 that has a lot more specific roles. We've got a marketing team now that helps our owners before they open the doors get their marketing plan in place. So it has really come a long way, and we are committed to providing the best pre-opening as well as operational experience that we possibly can.
So the other side of that coin is, while it takes a tremendous amount of effort and time to get a unit open, on the other side of the coin, when we look at the successes of franchisees in your brand and the financial performance representations that you report in your FDD, well, we see some pretty exciting numbers there as well. You want to spend a minute telling the audience a little bit about those?
Absolutely, yeah. No, and we feel that support is directly correlated with the success of franchise owners, and so that is why we do go above and beyond in providing that support. We started as a very close-knit, family-driven organization. Culture was very important to us, and we maintain that, and we will continue to maintain that as our main philosophy. So the trainings that we provide are very in depth, and we are very approachable at all times, not just our people out in the field, but also our team up here. Every franchise owner has my cell phone number, and they're happy to call me if there's anything I can assist them with. Same with the rest of our operations team. Our director of curriculum as well is very engaged with our franchise owners, so that we can obtain the feedback and find out where we might need to offer a little bit more assistance, or an area that they may be not as proficient in. We can jump in there before it becomes an issue and help them out. So we provide a minimum of a visit every quarter, as well as visiting the centers as much as possible from an operations standpoint, just to not just on the quality assurance side, which is important. We want the brand to be well represented, and we want to help our owners to be successful as possible, but also to solicit that feedback and to see what is going on, and to see if there are areas that we can improve upon. I feel like constant improvement is one of our dedications as well. We have been a member of the International Franchise Association for over 10 years, and we attend many events with them each year, so that we can learn best practices and any new products or any new procedures to help our owners, not just being as financially profitable as they can, but also providing the best customer experience that they can to their parents and their children.
Michael, one last question about your franchisees and your territories. Do you have any multiple unit opportunities, or are each of your locations singularly owned and operated?
We actually have about it's over a third of our locations are multi-unit owners. We have an incredible team of owners that really is again kind of a close-knit group, which is one of our big cultural philosophies. So we have our owners conference every single year, where owners can collaborate and share new ideas, but then we also encourage owners to reach out to each other and field questions and share ideas. A lot of them will cross market. So there are several franchise owners that are those mentors, and many of them are the ones that own 2 and 3 or more locations. We do have one franchise owner that has 4 locations, is working on the 5th location, and has a 6th location that will be going starting on fairly soon. So we're very proud of our franchise owners. They have really made the brand what it is today.
Michael, that was some great information. How would our listeners learn more about the franchise opportunity with Children's Lighthouse? And are there any upcoming shows or expos that you'll be at?
We do attend several expos a year. We have several markets that we look to target, some of those being the markets in Florida, Tampa, Florida, Orlando, Florida, as well as Denver, Colorado. So shows that we can go to that will give us exposure to potential franchise owners in that area. As well as, please visit our website, childrenslighthouse.com and childrenslighthousefranchise.com. We'd love for you to go through our informational process of learning about who we are and provide any information that we can. And at this time, we have 49 operating locations in 7 different states. Texas being the largest. We've got several in Dallas-Fort Worth, Houston, San Antonio, and the Austin area. But we are also in North Carolina and Florida, California, and various other states that we're definitely looking to advance our brand in.
Great. I really appreciate you being our guest today. A lot of great information. If you haven't already seen Children's Lighthouse location, I highly recommend you driving by because they really are quite impressive and enticing, and I'm sure children of all ages love it. But from an investment opportunity, it looks like it's a real neat investment. Meticulous grounds, very clean. Great information. Go on their website, as Michael had suggested. Michael, we really appreciate you being with us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Our pleasure, Michael. Thanks again.
Bye-bye.
Well, Stan, a lot of great information, so many different brands. I love the children's story. I love how they're focusing on technology. A lot of good values there as well. Next week we have an emerging brand, actually the one that's on a fairly quick growth mode right now. It'll be Chris Fisher, who's the president and co-founder of Shine Franchise Group out of Austin, Texas. Window cleaning, holiday lights, pressure washing, really a growing brand right now.
Sounds like they got the bases covered, too, for seasonality, don't they?
Yeah, they do. I mean, there's too many brands that I see, and you as well. They've got a great model for 9 months out of the year, and then what do they do for the next 3 months? I mean, besides not having revenue come in, you lose some pretty good employees during that period who need to work the entire year, right?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So, that sounds like it's going to be an interesting interview. I'm looking forward to that one. And I want to make certain we don't let the hour go by without thanking Stacy Brown for last week's interview. We had a pair of Browns back-to-back, Paul. Much different interviews, much different concepts, but 2 enlightening interviews with 2 fabulous guests. So thanks again to Chicken Salad Chick and to Stacy Brown for appearing with us last week. Should have brought that up on the front of the hour, but it just occurred to me that we didn't do it, and I didn't want to let that get by us.
Sure, absolutely. We'll have a Brown Fisher. Actually sounds like a law firm, doesn't it? Well, probably a better law firm than Segreto and Friedman or Friedman and Segreto. Kidding aside, it was really a wonderful interview last week. Very heartwarming. Got a lot of responses about it. I mean, just total transparency in that hour last week. Really even hard to go back. I listened to it actually a couple of times, which I rarely do. That many listens after a show because it's usually so fresh in our mind. I listened to it twice. Great stuff. And, of course, that segment as well as all of our segments are available on iTunes. Just look up Franchise Today. And, of course, on Blog Talk Radio, that's blogtalkradio.com/Franchise Today. And we've been expanding our presence on Twitter, #Franchise Today. You'll be able to find links to our shows there. Look on Facebook. Franchise Today has a vibrant Facebook page, and of course on the Franchise Foundries blog, which is franchiseessentials.com. Look for the tab Franchise Today. You'll see everything about you and I, Stan, and some great pictures. Of course, sponsor information there too. And also on our blog, we've been promoting the show and really looking to take Franchise Today to a new level. And, of course, that couldn't be done without you, without me, and, of course, our very, very loyal listenership. Until next week, my name is Paul Segreto, wishing you the best, the very best, in this great, great thing we call franchising. And Franchise Today is out.
Franchise Pros, Stan the Man, Paul Segreto. Time to show you the way of franchising today. Hey, do you possess the spirit of an entrepreneur? Wanna lay your business plan down like a rug or a floor? Or maybe you have a dream of opening a chain of delis, or whatever passion lights that pilot light under your belly. Or do you want to start a business, fam, using the proven trademark from another brand? And grow together and expand like a rage of fire, from a single to a multi-unit empire. Well, pay attention to this podcast that you hear streaming in HD, so fine-tune both of your ears. And Stan and Paul lays down the law. Whether you want to be a franchisee or a franchisor, it's all about sustainable growth, the sensible franchising, proven concepts, the smart enterprising. So use your left and right side of your brain and absorb this knowledge here, franchising today. Badlands, baby. Franchising today. Sustainable growth, the sensible franchising. Franchise today. Sustainable growth, the sensible franchising. Franchise today. Franchising today. Franchising today. Yeah.
When it's PCS time, you know the drill. Pack, research the new base, get the kids in school, because family supports family. At American Public University, we support military families with flexible, affordable online education that moves with you. As a military spouse, your tuition rate is the same as your partner's, just $250 per credit hour. American Public University, education that moves with you. Learn more at apu.apus.edu/military.